All right. Welcome to my little tiny itty bitty show where I milk Halloween secrets out of you. On the show today, we have C. Ernst Harth,
Yeah.
who has like literally about 100 IMDB credits to his name, ranging from 13 Ghosts to Trick or Treat to I think more recently was a movie Coral Space, right?
Crawl Space on Paramount Plus with Elliot from ET, Henry Thomas.
Yeah. So kind of going into that, you have, like I said, about 100 IMDb credits. How did you get into acting?
Well, the two
Such a
the
cliche question I just asked
yes, I
you,
know it's fine.
but it's fun. It's
Everybody
also for
likes to
me.
know.
Yeah.
Everybody asks me. Yeah. As far as let me just turn this volume down a bit. As far as acting, there's the before I got paid for it and the after I got paid. But the as far as acting, it was I did school plays, I did community theater, I hung out with a friend and we went to nursing homes and did not plays like skits and improv games and stuff with the old people. But how it got all started was the school I started at, the K to 5 school that I started at, I didn't know that every year they had a Christmas pageant that the grade 4s and 5s were part of. And the one thing that was tradition with them was the biggest kid in the school played Santa Claus. Well, this year, in 1976, 75, the biggest kid in the school was in kindergarten, which was me. So all of a sudden, these grade 4s and grade 5s are acting with a kid in kindergarten, and he's Santa Claus up on stage. And that was basically how I got my start. So basically, it was my size that got me into it already at 5 years old.
How tall were you? Because I think you're actually like 6'6", if I recall,
I'm
right?
6'6" now. Well, what I do know is when I went into grade 6, I was 6'3", 286. So in kindergarten, I was probably much taller than your. There's a picture I have on my Facebook page of me doing a play. It was probably in grade 2. It was for Red Riding Hood. I played the hunter in the Red Riding Hood story, and I'm probably a good head and a half taller than everybody else on stage. So it looks like there's a teacher standing in the corner. So that was how I got into it, honestly, was because of my size. I was a clown at home, but acting wasn't a thing. I was in kindergarten. What is acting? Um, but from that moment
Acting
on,
is trying to get out of class. That's what acting is.
well, yeah, and I
Like
learned
I'm
that
sick.
much later in life. I
Yeah.
learned that, for example, our school would have, when I got into high school, our school would have Halloween uh, costume contests, and they would have those assemblies during class. So they would make the announcement: everyone who came to school today in a Halloween costume, please go down to the cafeteria. We're going to be having an assembly. And it was just then and there that I realized, wait, I don't have a Halloween costume, but I don't want to be in class. I want to get out of class. I know. So I took a piece of paper and I drew on the paper undercover officer and taped it on my shirt. And
Wow.
so when you go through the yearbook, there's an entire stage full of people. There's a picture, an entire stage full of people wearing costumes. And then there's this guy in the corner just standing there with a piece of paper on his chest. And that was when I learned, man, I can get out of class for this. So that's when I started doing more assemblies, more skits, more things. Even like the thing with the nursing home, they let us do that during the day. So I'd get time off class from going to the nursing home. So I learned that early on. And then when I got out of high school, I moved to the other side of Canada where I live. And I ended up in Vancouver at the age of 19, and I started working at this nightclub because when you're 6'6", 400 pounds, you just walk into a club and that's your resume. They say, "Where have you worked before?" I go, "I've worked nowhere, but look, there's the specs. You want me? You can have me."
Yeah.
And I knew no matter where I lived, I could get a job in a nightclub working as a doorman, even though it was never a job I liked. I don't like confrontation. I don't like any of that. But when you're a big guy,
They don't mess with you. No.
you get forced into those situations. Even if as a customer, I can't go to a bar and be left alone, because there's always some short little dick who's had one too many drinks and has decided that he
They have
has to
Napoleon
challenge.
syndrome.
Yeah, they have to challenge the big guy in the bar. And so it doesn't matter where I go, even if I go to a restaurant, even on the city bus, I get challenged by people who feel the need to, and not only challenge, but they'll ask you questions they wouldn't ask anybody else. Like, holy shit, what'd you have for breakfast? Like, just out of the blue, it's like, man, your parents must have fed you well. How big's your mom? How tall is your dad? It's like things you wouldn't think of asking a normal person on the bus, but because you're 6'6", 400 pounds, all of a sudden they have a free license to ask you any bizarre question they want. And you either give them a bizarre answer back, or you do like I go. I just pretend I don't understand English and start speaking German to them. But so when I was 19, I moved out to Vancouver. I got a job at a nightclub, and one night, two women approached me, and they said, "Excuse me, are you in the film industry?" And I had no idea what they were trying to feel. What's the film industry? You know, um, uh, Most people have no idea what, especially, well, now with the internet, everybody sort of knows all the secrets. But when I was a kid, what's a film industry? You turn on your TV, you go to the movie theater, and there's something there. But where it gets made, how it gets made, I don't know. Those people live in my TV, don't they? It's like you never thought about that. That's like people used to say, "Did you want to be an actor?" It was such a surreal, out there kind of thing that you never thought about. It's like, well, movies aren't made here. Why would I be an actor? If I wanted to be an actor, I'd go where movies are made, and then I'd be an actor. It was not until you get older and you realize that movies are made everywhere. And, especially now with the ease of making movies, anybody can make a movie with their camera, with their phone, what have you.
Yep.
So there's no such thing as they don't make movies here anymore. But so I said to her, I'm just a doorman here. And these two women said, well, you have an interesting face. I think we could probably do something with you. They gave me a card. They said, why don't you give us a call, and we'll see what we can do. And then they walked away, and I thought, bunch of chicks just trying to pick me up, whatever. Put the card in my pocket, went on with the night, got home, threw the card on my desk. A couple weeks later, I'm cleaning up my desk, and I come across this card, and I actually took the time to read it because I hadn't even read it. I just threw it in my pocket, and I'm looking at it, and it turns out they're both talent agents, and they're with one of the larger talent agents in Vancouver. And I thought, well, they must know what they're talking about if they think they can do something for me. So I called them, and within 2 days, I was shooting my first television commercial. And then it was like, damn it, why didn't I call them 2 weeks earlier? I could have been a movie star by now. Yeah. The way you start thinking. But that was in February 27th, 1990. It was the day I shot my first commercial, and I never looked back. I stopped working part-time jobs in 96 because I got offered my first lead in a feature. A friend of mine had shown basically a fan film. It was a short film, but it now in today's vernacular, you would call it a fan film. It was a film about Alien. There was no Alien 4 yet. Alien 3 had just happened. And the question the director had pondered, what would if there was going to be an Alien 4, what would it look like? And so we did this short film about Alien 4. And a friend of mine who was an actor who worked on it with me, he showed it to a friend of his, unbeknownst to me, someone I'd never met. And he liked my character in that film so much that he basically wrote an entire feature film with me as the lead, having never met me, just from seeing me in this short film. So I get a call from my friend, says, I have a friend of mine who wrote a feature film for you. Would you like to meet with him? Sure. So I met with him, and that was in 96. And he said, we're going to be shooting for 9 days straight. Can you get 9 days off work? I said, I couldn't get 9 days off work, never. So that was the moment where I had to make that decision in life, was like, okay, is the universe going to take care of me? Am I going to make this decision that I want to be a full-time actor and I'm going to go do this? Or do I just continue working as an office manager in a job that I don't want, but it pays the bills? And I said, no, this is what I want to do. I've been doing it now part-time for 6 years. I think I could, and I just let it on to said to the universe, okay, you're in charge. You take care of me now. And went off and did that first feature. And believe it or not, we started shooting that in 96 and the film came out in 2017.
Oh, damn. What was that movie called?
It's called Joe Finds Grace. It's won a bunch of awards. We still haven't gotten distribution for it. We're still working with that in our previous film that we did after that, Exuvia. I tell you, when you're self-financed and you and your partner are the only people doing this, it's so hard to get a film out there. And to the point that when we first shot the film in 96, we shot it on 16 millimeter. We shot it with a Bolex. We shot it with the way films were made in 96. And the problem was we couldn't afford to finish the film because it was going to be like $40,000 to do a blow up, to get it to 35. And it was just outrageously expensive and we couldn't afford it. So we basically just shelved the film for 14 years. And then we saw a documentary one day about the wave of digital films and digital filmmaking and everything you could do now with your computer. And it was like, you mean we can take this film that's sitting on the shelf and we can scan it into a computer and then we can do whatever we want with it? And all of a sudden he started, Anthony, my producing partner and director of the film, decided, well, now I can actually do what I want with the film. And so he started doing his own animation. He's got his own animation style. So the film is a black and white film, but all of the dreams and fantasy sequences are in full color animation. We decided to flip it. Instead of having the dream sequences in black and white, the dream sequences are out of this world animation. And the way we used to describe the film was if Woody Allen was to remake The Elephant Man as a road movie. So it's called Joe Finds Grace, and it's about a character who has elephantiasis, and he looks like the Elephant Man. His face is all, and he goes on a journey to find his long lost sister, and it's all the stuff that happens to him along the way. And it was just, to me, it's the film that got me as an actor into this full time. That's why I ended up becoming a producer on the film. That's why I ended up becoming producing partners with Anthony. But yeah, that's been, so 1990 to 96. So I did 6 years where I did some acting on the side. And then from 96 on, it's been nothing but acting. And now it's like now with when you start having strikes and stuff like it's going on now with the two different unions striking and nothing's happening, that's when you start realizing that I don't know how to do anything. It's like, unless you give me makeup and some clothes to wear, I have no skills. I can act like anything, but can't actually do anything. So that's when you start questioning your life choices. It's like, okay, these films better start rolling again, because either that or I'm going to be cutting people's grass because they don't know what else to do.
I was actually going to go into a different thing, but while we're on the subject of that, the whole reason why I wanted to kind of interview about this was to talk about the fact that you can actually buy autographs directly from you, which would actually be really helpful at this time with the work kind of being at a stalemate right now. So
yeah, and that's why I've been doing as many interviews and as many podcasts as I can to get the word out, because the conventions have dried up, and I've got all of these convention photos, and I'm trying to get them out. So I've made all my convention photos available. People can't, is that there or here?
I don't know. I closed my window.
Okay.
So those must be the Canadian police or something.
Yes, I've made all of my photos available. So if someone was wanting to see me at a convention for one of my characters and they didn't get a chance to, or haven't been able to, they can contact me through my Facebook. I have all the information pinned to the top of my page, but I have I have 8x10, two 8x10s of from 13 Ghosts, The Great Child. I have one of me and then one with me and my mother. I have me as Sloth from Supernatural with it's the photo has a sequence of photos with me and Jim Beaver. I have one of me as Minor 49er from Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. I have one of me as the ogre from Once Upon a Time. I was in as the ogre. I was in season 1, episode 2, when they create the dark curse for the whole series, and the evil witch is around the fire with her minions. I'm one of her minions, and I'm basically there for the creation of the whole series. And I end up playing the Storybrooke alter ego of the ogre, which was the maintenance man at City Hall. But then they told me, don't worry, we're going to get into the ogres next season, and you're going to get a lot more to do next season. And then over the summer, they decided to go CGI with all the ogres. And so this amazing makeup that was created for me by Toby Lindola, which, you know, they did write-ups on it, and Makeup Magazine and everything. It was this great ogre makeup. Basically never really barely got to see it in the episode that did air, and then never again. So then in second season, they brought me back as Jorge Garcia played Tiny, the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk. And I basically play his brother Abraham, and I'm basically picking on him because he's so small, and I call him Tiny. So I'm one of the only people that's played 3 characters on Once Upon a Time, and the ogre is the one that I have for sale for prints. And then I have Bonzo the clown from Dead Rising Watchtower. I played the killer zombie clown at the beginning of the film. I have Giant Baby from Trick or Treat. I'm Anna Paquin's blind date. I'm the when she asks her sister, "Is he young?" I'm the can't get much younger than a baby. Yeah, I'm young.
No. That's actually the one I'm going to want to probably get. And I do have to ask. You don't happen to have an orange paint pen, do you? Because that's what I'm going to want it in.
I have red and gold, and no, but I can easily get an orange.
Yeah, that's for Trick or Treat. You got to have an orange paint pen for that, because it is the season coming up. So
yes, and then finally I have from Postmodern Prometheus, the famous black and white episode of the X-Files. I was one of the guest stars in that episode, and I have a nice photo of me when the barn's on fire. I come screaming out with a lantern, "The barn's on fire!" And it makes a really nice print of that. So those are the ones I have. But then I've also been doing one-offs. I've been doing special orders for people, because these are the prints that I have printed, and I have a stack of them sitting here. But then there's other ones, the A-Team and The Haunting Hour and So Weird and Haters Back Off. And it's like, I can't even keep track of my resume sometimes.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of.
When you get to the border and they ask you, "What do you do for a living?" You say you're an actor, and they go, "What have you been in?" It's like, I don't know how to answer that.
You should have a big scroll like in the olden times. You like roll it out.
You got Google on there?
Yeah.
Just put my name in.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, because so much of my resume is horror films. And then another part of my resume is kid films, because I've worked with the Muppets. I've worked with Scooby-Doo twice. I've done a whole bunch of Air Bud movies and Talking Dog movies. And so I've got that whole section. And then I've got, Academy Award winning films like Capote, so it's like, I've got the whole gamut of stuff. It's like I have films for the parents and films for the kids and films for the black sheep cousin and everything in between. But yeah, so those are I sell them for $30. Shipping's included. That's what I would have charged at conventions. So this way you don't have to deal with the indignity of having to see me in real life. No kidding. But yeah, I still sell them for $30, and it's $30 Canadian. So for an American audience, it's basically free.
I mean, I know it's a little bit nutty right now, but are there any like US conventions that you might try to hit up? Or I mean, that's just
well, I have to try and I have paperwork issues. I don't have all the,
Uh,
so it's like things with the immigration laws have changed when Trump was in office. So I have to jump through a bunch of hoops. So I'm not even stressing on that right now. I'm just trying to keep afloat right now. So I'm working on, like I said, selling these prints. I've got some Canadian shows that I've been looking at, and also possibly something in the UK, because the immigration within the States doesn't affect the rest of the world. They got their own rules down there. So once I get that worked out, there'll be tons of festivals to look at and tons of conventions. But right now, I'm just trying to get these to sign these photos and get them out to as many fans as possible, because it's funny. I was joking with someone the other day that I have never I have never been reprimanded by fans as much as I have since I started selling these photos. I get fans, they're basically punishing me. They're saying, you know, you're selling these photos way too cheap. $30 Canadian? Are you crazy? You should be selling these for 40, $50. You could be selling these things for way more money. And so I started adding a tip option because people were wanting to give me more money. So it's like,
just buy two, buy a trick or treat and a 13 ghost. You have a spooky combo, like,
yeah, and the shipping is still all included.
yeah.
But it's like, I'll sell you the photo for 30. If you want to give me 50, fine. And because of the Canadian middle class guilt, I can't just take the tip. I then have to like include something extra, because it's like, well, so I've been digging through my storage and finding stuff. So I've been sending some people, if they buy a 13 ghost photo and they give me a tip, then I'm like, oh, I got to do something special. So I go and I find some stuff like that, some black Zodiac cards that I have from the studio from 13 Ghosts, and each photo I also send with a personalized letter on my own letterhead and everything. So, you're getting two collectibles. And I always try to I send an extra photo, I'll send them. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I have another photo, which is a commissioned artwork by Neil Fraser from Scotland. And it's a beautiful photo of drawing of me. And then it has 10 of my most popular characters all around me. So it's like me with my 10 unusual personalities, and we're all hanging out in this photo. And it's basically a version of the banner that I had made for conventions. And instead of it being lengthwise, he took my banner that he created for me and formulated it into an 8x10, the same images. And so I can sell that to people. So sometimes when people send me a tip and they've ordered a specific photo, then I'll throw in like a character photo as well, or sometimes I'll send in a headshot or something. I just, as much as they want to give me more money, it's like, okay, but I'm gonna have to end up sending you more stuff.
I guess, I mean, you guys are hearing it. If you order an autograph from him, you give a little extra, love on that. He might give you a little bit love extra in that envelope. So,
Yeah, so it's been good, but I've gotten a pretty 13 Ghosts, Trick or Treat, and Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. Those have been the three biggest sellers so far.
I love these movies.
Trick or Treat and 13 Ghosts. Oh, and that's
Yeah,
that's the nice one.
You're right there. Yeah.
Yeah. I even have that made into an 8x10.
Nice.
That poster from that. But yeah, that's what, the Shout Factory, the Scream Factory.
Yeah, Scream Factory. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's they did a good job on putting that together.
It's essentially like the Criterion editions for horror, basically, is what the Scream Factory ones are. It's
and that's been the downfall of streaming, is there's no physical media.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I like being able to, actually hold these up, but when you have all your stuff digital, it's like, what are you going to do? Like,
yeah, and then when they decide to pull it, then
yeah.
I've seen actors that I know, and actors that are even bigger name actors I've seen online going, has anybody has anybody been able to make a copy of this film? Because I just heard that they're taking it down from the such and such site, and I don't have a copy of it. I mean, how ridiculous is that when stars of films are like on Twitter and stuff looking for someone to have made a copy of it? Because once it's gone, and they don't even know where
Yeah.
they're going to get a copy of it. It's sad that, you know, I love having my DVD collect. I got my DVDs over there. I've got my laser discs over there. I got my VHS in the other room. I've got my Blu-rays. I have to admit, though, I'm getting tired of replacing things. I've stopped doing that.
Yeah, I've definitely, there's like Army of Darkness. I don't even know how many times I bought that goddamn movie. Actually, one thing I was curious, like,
Yeah.
sounds like you collect movies, but I mean, what is there anything you like passionately collect? I'm curious about.
Anything that I passionately collect. Well, uh, things that I'm in. I know that sounds weird, but I try to buy everything related to anything that I've been in. So if there's books, if there's kid books, if there's posters, if there's games, if there's anything that I've been in, I've
Technically,
got.
there's a baby Sam.
Damn, there's so much Sam.
It's crazy.
What drives me insane is that of those two movies that you showed that I'm in, Trick or Treat, there's every version of everything to do with Trick or Treat that you can find out there. Do you think somebody would come up with figures for 13 Ghosts? I can't believe that this many years later,
Yeah.
there still isn't like a NECA or, even a Funko Pop, anything.
No. What's strange though is I guess it's rumored that they're going to do a series on the 13 Ghosts.
Yeah, I've seen that. I saw the person who is pitching to Sony or Dark Castle. I saw that he just did a podcast interview with Development Hell, talking all about that. So I haven't listened to it yet, but someone shared that with me online. It's funny, ever since that announcement came out in the last month or so, every single fan that has connected with me has tagged me on the article, has written me about the article, and I wish I had an answer. I wish I knew anything. I would
be stupid if they didn't use you in it.
Well, what I said to the last person I spoke to is, if it's not about the ghosts that were in the 2001 movie, then what's the point? Just make a whole new movie, that has nothing to do with backstories of things, because it's the ghosts from that movie that people have been intrigued with, that people have wanted to know more about. And
they're perfect. I mean, look at all that right there.
yeah,
it's good enough as it is. I mean, it's all makeup.
yeah. And that's
they're probably older now, but I mean, who cares? It's just makeup and acting, and
shave my head off, dye my tuft on my head blonde again, like I did back then, and away we go.
Yep. Get a little burble right there on the mouth too, or
and of all the ghosts, I think most of us are still alive. I'm not 100% certain of the lady who played my mother, and some have left the industry.
Just make a ghost of her or something. I don't know.
Yeah, a ghost of a ghost.
CGI.
Yeah, and plus, if you're gonna spend the time making the backstory, you're gonna have a younger person playing her anyways.
Yeah.
But I think it has to be the ghosts from the 2001 film. Otherwise, you're creating you might as well just create a whole new movie. There's no point in telling backstories of ghosts that no one's ever met before. That's just a whole other film. It would be interesting if they tied the first film and the second film together. That would be interesting. But it's funny how so many people don't even realize that 13 Ghosts was a remake. Especially
I think a Vincent Price movie back in the day or something, right? Or
yeah, well, it was Margaret Hamilton, who played the Wicked Witch of the West in Wizard of Oz. She was in it. And it was William Castle. He was the guy who was famous for having so like in the original movie, instead of them putting on glasses in the house, it was the audience in the theater putting on glasses, and you would see the ghosts on the screen, but only with the glasses on in the theater. So, and it's funny because when you buy the DVD of the original 13 Ghosts, you get the glasses in the DVD, so when you can watch the movie at home, you put the glasses on. It's so lame. I mean, it's 1960s technology,
Yeah.
but still, it's so lame. I love the way they were able to take the idea of the glasses in the theater and incorporate it into the movie so that you had to wear the glasses. The characters had to wear the glasses to see us in the house. But what you were saying about when you showed the picture there about the makeup, I think that is what makes the movie so effective, is that
Yeah.
we're all
I mean,
wearing physical effects. There's no CG. And when an actor is dealing with one of the ghosts on set, they're both on set. They're both looking at each other. There's no acting involved. When you see a 6'6", 400-pound guy with puke and blood all over him come around the corner with his axe, you're getting an honest reaction
yeah, I mean,
from the
versus like a lot of the stuff that's just so fake. Like I'm freaking out over a blob of green thing on a stick. I mean, how
yeah.
are you going to be scared of that?
No, and that's where I get lost in a lot of the newer movies, the big budget movies. There's no tension because like when you see a stunt, it's not a guy flying throwing himself off a mountain. It's just a cartoon on a
Yeah.
cartoon.
I'll tell you, the new Flash movie had some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it looked like PS2 I mean, there's CGI you're used to, but this was
Yeah.
like we're in the year 2023, and the CGI was so bad that I'm like, it's like we time traveled back to 1999, and this is like a PlayStation 2 game I'm watching. It was
But
so
when
bad.
you go back and you look at films like Jurassic Park, you realize
Yeah.
how far ahead they were with the technology then, because the CG in that movie is so much better than a lot of the movies that come out now. Yet there's like a quarter century of technology in between.
Yeah, it's
It's all about
crazy.
the artists making the work. Because I mean, you go back and look at some of those Ray Harryhausen films from the 50s and 60s, where he was using stop motion animation. Those feel more real because you're filming a real thing,
Yeah,
even though you're moving it one frame at a time. The light is still capturing something real,
yeah,
And not only that, with 13 Ghosts, there's something I always say this in regards to acting with like a tennis ball or acting with some sort of visual effect. The human eyeball can capture the personality and the soul of someone else that they're acting with, and it comes across in their eye. Like if you watch an actor who's looking at an actor that's not really there, but they're acting with CG, versus an actor who's talking to another actor, there's something in there's a deadness in the eyes when they're not talking to a real human being. And that's the biggest thing about 13 Ghosts, is that everything you see is there at the time. All the ghosts were real. The only thing that was CG in that film was the in the Eye of Hell, where all of the gears are turning.
yeah.
All that stuff was CG. Everything else was real. The whole house was real. The walls went up and down. Everything functioned as it is in the film. Um, when they blew that house up, they blew that house up. It was made out of 25 panes of glass. And I think they saved a couple of panes of glass for reshoots, and the rest of it, they just blew the hell out of it. So when you see that thing explode, that was a hell of an explosion when they blew that thing up. The entire house was inside a special effects sound stage. Everybody's like, "Oh, I know where that house. I know where that house is." I go, "No, you don't." That's where the CG comes in, is
Yeah.
making it look like that house existed.
Um, so really fast here, I'm
Yes.
a cheap bastard, so I don't have the paid Zoom thing. So I have about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
I just got the warning here.
Okay.
So really fast, I want to ask you, when you were a kid, what
Yes.
was your go-to costume for Halloween? You cannot say undercover cop.
No, my go-to costume was there were two Halloweens that I remember. The go to either a clown, because it was easy, just put face makeup on and off you go, or uh, there was at least two Halloweens where I dressed up in my mom's clothes and my mom did her makeup and I wore my mom's bra and stuffed it with Kleenex and went out as a woman. And I remember that so well because this one house did not believe that I was a boy and gave me like two, three times the amount of candy that he was giving everybody else. And so, yeah, my go-to Halloween would probably be either a clown or a woman. I don't know, that's nothing gory. But the truth of the matter is, Halloween wasn't a big, especially since I got into acting. Halloween has just not been a thing. It's just like when you dress up for a living, all of a sudden it's just another day to
Not
do it.
decent. It's desensitized for you, basically.
Yeah, so I tend to like stay in and stay away from the whole Halloween scene. But yeah, growing up, it was definitely I think I'm going through my head and I can see myself as a clown 2 or 3 times, and I know I was a woman twice. So that's 5 Halloweens right there. So yeah, I'd say a clown was probably my biggest go-to. And it's funny, I've played a clown now. Legends of Tomorrow, I was a clown. uh Bonzo in Dead Rising, I was a clown.
So
And Are We Afraid of the Dark, the new Are We Afraid of the Dark, I was a clown, evil clown. So I'm slowly ticking off every category of every bad guy and every creepy guy there is out there. Uh, I just need to get more normal guys on my resume. Less babies, less diapers. I've when someone once posted, there was that whole thing going around last year, was like actors with range. The same actor has played this, has played that, has played this, has played that. I put a picture of me from Trick or Treat, and I put up a picture of me from 13 Ghosts, and I said, you can't get more range than this. I was the giant baby and the great child. And I like to think that even though I wasn't supposed to be an homage, it wasn't supposed to be a tribute, it wasn't supposed to have anything to do with 13 Ghosts, but just my inclusion in Trick or Treat, I like to think of it as an Easter egg for the horror fans. Anybody who knows horror movies can say that baby is this baby. It's the same guy.
yeah.
Even though I lost 200 pounds between films, and the giant baby in Trick or Treat looks more like the baby of the great child. I look like a little kid in that one. Well, I look like a baby in that one. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, that was a fun film. We shot a bunch of reshoots for that, where they had the wolves actually ripping my neck apart and everything, but we ended up not using any of that. So that was too bad. But it was a little scary with these big animatronic teeth opening and closing on your neck.
One fun fact I wanted to throw out there randomly also, you and I were actually born on the same day, February 2nd. That was
Groundhog Day, really?
Yep, I was born February 2nd. I saw that on your IMDb. I'm like, oh, don't see that every day.
Yeah, my mom was born February 2nd too.
Oh, that's
So
weird.
there you go. I was her Groundhog Day present and her birthday present. Just imagine, this is what you get for, and it was her 19th birthday.
Happy birthday. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
My dad used to joke the second I hit oxygen. Because I was only 7'15" when I was born. But yeah, Groundhog Day. Is that a big thing where you are?
No, not at all.
No.
I just keep going, oh, I hope it's more winter, because I'm not a fan of the sun. But anyway, this is going to rudely shut off here in about a few seconds.
Okay.
But thanks for coming on and chatting with me really quick. I'm hoping that this interview makes a few of you go buy autographs from him, because I'm going to do it. And if I can do it, you can do it. That was
come back another
speech.
time. We can talk about some other films, talk some more.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on, man. All right.
Okay.
Have
Thanks
a good
a lot.
night.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye. How do I stop the record? Oh,
okay.